Hi, I'm going to be making a few short video clips to show some of the abandoned properties in the city of Manassas Park area of Northern Virginia. First video clip is the Mosby property. Today is December 10th, 9th. The city council just announced last night that they're finally going to begin taking some action to demolish this house, which has been abandoned, as you can see, for many years. It's been subject to numerous violations, code enforcement, non-compliance issues, many complaints from neighbors about varmints, skunks, rodents living in this property, crawling in through the holes on the roof. I'll let the video speak for itself here. This is just horrible. I mean, you can see how close this is to a, residential neighborhood. This is a fire hazard, mosquito hazard, every other kind of possible nuisance property, they called it. That's really the best way to put it. I just, as expensive as property is around here, I will never understand. Growing up as a kid, I was always told that your house is one of the most valuable things you'll ever own. And I will just never understand why someone could let their house look like this. I mean, it's got to be mental illness, but that the city would let it go for so long. I mean, you can see here's one notice. This documents the history of violations going back many years. There's a second page. These used to be taped up on the front of the building. But as you can see, it's winter time now. During the summer, myself and a friend, who wanted to try to clean up the neighborhood a little bit, we came out and started mowing some of the lawns on some of these houses just so they wouldn't be such a blighted eyesore. And during the summer, the mold was terrible. You could smell this house coming down the week. But now it's the winter time. Seems to have killed off most of the mold. All these VHS tapes. People were saying, what's on those VHS tapes? I said, probably child porn. Somebody thought they were real funny and put a toy snake here. Somebody's home movies. I don't know what this garbage is. It's just amazing that somebody would let their house fall into this condition. And there's even, there's cars parked here. And we noticed this. I mean, this Explorer's in bad shape, but this Silverado, this is a nice looking truck. Why would you just leave this sitting here? This is during the summer. The whole backyard was overgrown. The weeds and vines were taller, 7 or 8 feet high. Looks like they used to have some kind of animals penned up back here. And I think that's what attracted so many of the nuisance varmints, was all of the cans of food everywhere. What that is back there. It looks like more dog houses. In any case, super excited, really proud of the city that they're finally going to start taking action to demolish some of these properties. I don't want to speak entirely ill of our good city of Manassas Park. I know they don't have a lot of power to do anything about these type of issues. There's quite a few houses like this in the community, but this is the by far the worst and most well-known of the abandoned properties. Look at this. This roof is separating up there even. And when we came by in the summer, it wasn't this bad. A couple of the people on the Facebook community forum were like, oh yeah, it's so much worse than when you were there in the summer, and I can see that it is. So, Mosby property, city of Manassas Park, hopefully soon to be torn down. Look at that, that was cut recently. When we were out here mowing the lawn, the neighbors were like, are you going to take the trees down too? Apparently these trees are ready to fall. This is just a danger to everyone around here, danger to the neighbors, an eyesore, blight to the community. It affects all of our property values. So, as I said before, we're really excited that the city's finally taking some action on all of this. Hi, so next up on our tour of the abandoned homes of Manassas Park, this is the Courtney house. This house, like the others, has sat abandoned and neglected for many years. It actually has a pretty sad backstory to it. The owner of this home was an older gentleman. From all accounts, what the neighbors told me, he had a lot of mental health issues, PTSD, would answer the door with a gun, so he wasn't doing well in this home, and his daughter was taking care of him. He also had a son, and the daughter was sort of taking care of the son as well, and he also had a lot of mental health issues, and the sister would berate him frequently and, basically just yell at him, hey, get your life together, get it together, and apparently so the son just couldn't take it anymore after a while, and he killed the sister by drowning her in a pool. He sat on her head in a swimming pool until she drowned. This is all public knowledge. You can find the articles about this on the internet from a few years ago. And so apparently the murder didn't take place at this house, but it took place at another property the family owned. So then I guess after that occurred, the remaining family, from what I was told by the neighbors, they took the elderly gentleman away to live with them, and the house has sat abandoned and falling apart ever since. What's really unusual about this house as well, I think, is that it still has a practically brand new car in the driveway, and we'll get out and we'll walk over there in a minute and I'll show that to you. I don't know who the car belongs to. It's been sitting here. Google Street View shows it's sitting here for years. It was just absolutely covered in vines at one point. Myself and a friend have sort of taken it upon ourselves. This is another house that we just sort of kind of started coming out and, just cleaning up a little bit because it just looked terrible. And the neighbors were complaining, and, I don't like living in a neighborhood with all these dilapidated houses. It affects everyone, attracting rodents and bringing down our property values. So you'll see in a minute, the car was completely covered in weeds. We cleaned it off. Also, it's all late December now, so the weeds are much less than they were. This white fence that's been in the camera view for the last couple minutes as I've been talking was also at one point completely covered in weeds and vines. So just to get out and show you a bit of the house here. You can see the condition of the yard. At one point this was completely covered with vines, and we actually did a good job cutting them back from the path. There's signs on the door. There used to be signs from code enforcement. There's also signs from people who want to buy the house. Which is the thing with a lot of these abandoned houses, is that, we're in a neighborhood where the homes are, still relatively affordable. People want to buy here. People want to buy houses. They can't because the owners have just completely abandoned the properties. I have no idea what this device is. Some kind of idea. So there again is the car that I mentioned. My name is Cindy. I have a question about you home. Could you please call me? So yeah, people want to buy these homes. I don't know how much of the inside you can see. There's photos and furniture. A sink back up there. Yeah, this whole walkway during the summer was just completely covered in vines. Our first thought was to do a welfare check on the house because we weren't sure if maybe somebody was in here and sick or injured or dead and trapped in here. During the summer, you couldn't even walk to the door. These vines just completely cover everything. And again, as I said, we did cut a lot of these back. Here's the car. Tags expired August 2019. That's their problem. They're a Raiders fan. So just like with the Mosby house, perfectly good car. Sitting in the driveway. Completely abandoned. The backyard is absolutely impossible to get back there. Even in late December, let me just zoom in on this. You can see the height of the weeds and vines. One of the neighbors said that there was some hope to bring the old man back to this house, but this house would at minimum need a new roof to be livable. So you can see the condition of the yard with the vines. It's difficult even walking through here. I just don't understand why the family wouldn't come get the car. There's some terrible, terrible wallpaper in there. Of abandoned houses is all the junk in the yard. Oh, here's some of the papers from code enforcement. It's the thing, Manassas Park, you guys. You come out and you put a violation, but then you don't do anything, and it's really frustrating. The neighbors over on this side said they were scared of the guy. Good grief. Look at this mess. Perfectly good house. I mean, not good anymore. Just completely ruined through neglect and abandonment. So that's it for the Courtney house. We'll go on to the next house now. Next on our tour of the abandoned Manassas Park homes, this is the Alpine house. Not a whole lot of information on this house. I've talked to all the neighbors. Nobody really seems to know anything about what's going on here. It's been empty for many years. The back is in very poor condition. From what I've been told by the neighbors, teenagers used to come in and break in and drink and party and carry on inside of this house. You can see the front window. You can look inside of there. It's all trashed. Like I said, the back of the house is in very poor condition. It's almost on a par with, or is going to soon be the same condition as the Mosby house in terms of how badly it's falling down. There's public notices taped up on the door, code enforcement. Nothing has ever been responded to. At one point, the entire front of the house was covered with vines, and bushes. Somebody did come by and hack those down a couple years ago. More recently, myself and a friend had been, just coming by and, mowing the lawn. And speaking with the neighbors, I've heard a lot of complaints about this house. One of the ladies next door, her dog got sprayed in the face by a skunk that lives in this house. Another gentleman has seen snakes coming into his yard, from out of this house. So it's all in all just a very poor condition, filled with rodents and nuisance animals. And if nothing is done, this house will soon, at least from the back, start to collapse like the Mosby property. So I'm just going to get out here and we'll walk around it real quick. This front walk was in much worse shape before I came through and mowed. Notice the violation. The homeowner says it's in Fredericksburg. The trash can is empty, which is kind of funny. Looks like somebody threw a yard sign in there. Let's see. So if you come here during the summer months, this entire yard is overgrown with weeds and vines, well over 8 feet high. It's January now, so everything is down pretty far. You can see the back of the house, the shingles, the old style tiles, which have just completely fallen off everywhere, and there's weeds and vines and mold growing through the house. When I first looked at this house, I walked up to the front door and I looked through the window and I said, wow, you can see clear out the back of the house. And as you can see, this wood, there's nothing left of this structurally on the second floor. There's a little shed back there. Interesting, before you came back here, you couldn't even see through the yard. It was so overgrown. But again, as I said, you could see how people had been breaking in here. This is one of those houses where they say a good winter storm and this whole house will come apart. There's nothing left of the roof from back there. Some kind of cage. I've seen these at a few of these properties. People probably trying to trap some of the skunks and stuff. It's just a very sad old abandoned house. I've talked to people who tried to get in contact with the homeowners and nobody's ever been able to get in contact. They might be dead. That's what somebody said. The owner of the Mosby house might have died recently. Nobody really knows for sure. People could be dumping bodies in there. I mean, really, that's a little over dramatic, but this should be. Somebody could take this house and love this house. This would have been a cute little house back in the day. But you see what it looks like now. It's ready for the bulldozer. So next on our tour of the abandoned houses of Manassas Park, this is the Kent house. Again, it's just another very sad, empty little house. It's owned by someone, I believe her name is Heather. Some people refer to this as Heather's house. I don't think Heather's lived here in over 10 years. I spoke with one gentleman who used to come by and mow the lawn. He said he mowed the lawn for around 8 years, and until she came by one day and yelled at him, and then he stopped. It's like, well, F you, I'm trying to do a neighborly thing, and she got worked up about it. So she doesn't live here. They tell me online that she lives in a trailer somewhere. I don't understand why you would own a home and live in a trailer, but I'm not really one to judge someone's life choices, but you're not going to live in it. Sell the house. Let it go to somebody who'll take care of it. But so this house here, again, like I said, people say she'll come by every so often and yell at people who park in the driveway, but other than that, it's been abandoned for many years. When my friend and I came over here to mow the lawn the first time, the grass was well over 2 feet high, and the neighbors, this was kind of cute, the neighbors, even though they couldn't speak English, they came out and they were giving us thumbs up and everything. Like, they were so happy that somebody was cared about the community enough to come by and try to clean up some of these dilapidated houses. But you can see how the trees have grown up around it. And again, we'll just do a quick walk around. Not much to see at this one. And you can tell it's not been lived in. Very dated, very old. The yard, debris in the yard, very high grass and weeds. A dilapidated little trailer there. That's not the one that she lives in. Antenna's falling down over the roof. Looks like that air conditioner is falling into the window. Windows are open. The siding is falling off around the windows. I'm surprised the roof is still intact on this one. Won't be much longer. The holes in the walls. Looks like there's another animal cage there. All of these abandoned houses. Looks like somebody's broken in there. Just tape around the windows or something. That chicken wire in the window. Front step here is completely crumbled. A block holding the door from flapping because the latch is broken off. Well, if one of these trees falls down, this house is a goner. Those plants are growing into the window, are So this is the Kent Street house. So in addition to the abandoned and blighted homes, we also have a few of these, what I refer to them as trash hoarder homes. And it's really looks just like an episode out of that TV show Hoarders. I'm going to drive by the worst of them here in a minute. This is, again, this is on Kent. It's just ridiculous. Nobody should live like this. There's quite a few throughout the community. The person who owns this home actually owns several homes. And it's like they got so much trash at the one, they had to buy a second home to start putting all their trash. I literally don't understand how people can afford it. around here, but you'll see this house here in a minute. I drove by once already here, and there's not even anywhere to park out front of this house. These streets are terrible with all of the cars on either side, but you'll see it here coming up in just a minute. It is astonishing that code enforcement has not done anything about this home. And maybe they have, and they really just started these giant potholes. They just started putting trash at their second home, but you'll see it. It's right here on the left. Just trash spilling out into the street. The whole yard is just filled with trash. They have trash cars, trucks, car parts, appliances. It's always different stuff. Appliances, just piles and piles of trash. Trash in the trucks, trash spilling out onto the road. Car parts, batteries, tires, I don't even know, chairs. It's unidentifiable what most of that stuff is. Just piles and piles of trash. And it's just astonishing that, like I said, code enforcement can't do anything, or has been unwilling or unable to do anything about all of this. My friend and I, we knocked on the door. We were going to ask him if he needed help clearing up the trash, but we weren't able to. He didn't answer. This house over here has security cameras pointed at that other house. At least they have a sign that says they do. This is another one of the trash houses. This is the one I mentioned is owned by the same person that owns the one on Kent. And, what all the neighbors suspect is that they bought this house because they had so much trash they couldn't keep any more of it at the first house. And that car, that busted up car over there, that used to be on the back of a trailer at the other house. There's a van back there all smashed up, missing windows and lights, and obviously inoperable. And then the usual just piles of trash cans and trash bags. Here's a quick revisit of the abandoned Mosby house. It's been about 2 months since I've recorded the first few minutes of video of this house. Just a few days ago, Department of Public Works was out here cutting off the water and sewer lines to this property, which hopefully is a good sign that they're making progress on being able to demolish it. But in that amount of time, the property has gotten significantly worse. You can see where they were out there digging up. This car's still in the driveway. That nice red truck. This is just to point out how much worse the roof has gotten and how the whole entire front wall is starting to peel down now. And you can see inside of there, the whole inside is full of like some moldy boxes of VHS tapes and debris and garbage, just waist-high garbage through the house. Trying to hold the camera up so to show inside of it. Just an absolutely disgusting mess here. LOL. Right down the street from some of those abandoned houses. We buy houses fast cash. They do too. I've talked to them. They would love to buy some of these houses. You hear that, City of Manassas? Manassas Park. So the sarcastic person in me wants to say Manassas Park has almost as many houses with piles of trash out front as it does potholes. But, I mean, really, guys? I mean, this person had so much trash. They've started putting it in these trailers. It's harder to see because they put up that concealing fence there. There's trash bins and storage things. Like, guys, just, I don't understand how anybody can live like this. You know, that's the whole point, is we can do better. We can do better. Nobody should live like this. It hurts the property values of everyone around you. It certainly can't be good for anyone's health, especially some of these moldy houses that are rotting and falling down. Attracts pests, varmints, skunks, snakes, rats, vandals. I'm surprised there's no homeless people sleeping in some of them. At least I haven't seen any. But like I said, I just was focusing on the worst of the trash houses here. This is Lambert. But there's quite a few other houses that are getting to be pretty bad like this, with piles of trash everywhere. And code enforcement, really, it's 2021. Code enforcement, step up your game. I'm cheering for you. Nobody should live like this or have to live like someone who chooses to live like this. So I went for a very informative meeting and walkabout with one of our city council persons yesterday, and she informed me of a couple other abandoned homes within the Manassas Park community that I wasn't aware of. This is one of them. I don't know any of the history of these additional homes, but you can see this is clearly not lived in. I don't know what the deal is with this. It looks like they kind of started to repair it or expand it or build it up and then just quit and left and ran off. I don't know if they ran out of money or, you know, that's just guessing at this point. You can see where it looks like someone had started working on it. And it looks like it might have at one point, you know, had a pretty good plan, but now it's just, looks like there's just a plastic tarp where the door should be, and the whole back of the house this has not been worked on recently. Looks like it's been sitting like this for a while. Could have potentially been a really nice house. I just don't understand, why would someone leave it like this? This is the Forest Street house. I think she mentioned there might be two on this street. Let's see. Two on Baker, one on Forest, so I guess this is the Forest one. That's just a shame. This would have been a really nice house. I mean, probably oversized for the lot, but it looks like they, unlike some of the houses, it actually would have had enough parking as well. Sell it, you know. I'm sure somebody would pay money for this, fix it up, love it. Could be a nice house. I just don't understand. Here's that same house from the other side. This side looks bad. It's starting to come apart. This over here, this is one of those structures I could never really figure out what it is. I don't know if it was going to be a house or a garage or what. It's like partially collapsed. I think this might be technically Manassas City rather than Manassas Park, where it's on Mace Drive right across from the little church building. But it's in bad shape, whatever it is. You can see if I were to get a little closer over there, like the roof or whatever, something is collapsed. There's like beams sticking out of the ceiling and the walls are like partially finished, and there's a big pile of cinder blocks. So again, I don't know if this is technically Manassas Park or Manassas City, but it's a mess, whatever it is. And you see they got like 1 million people living in that house there on the corner from all the cars. It's always like that. So this is an unsafe structure. I don't know if it's Manassas Park or Manassas City, but with the cinder blocks all down on the ground all around it, it's only a matter of time before something damages that and it falls. Here's another abandoned structure that I didn't know about until just recently with that meeting yesterday. I don't know the story of any of these. The house itself doesn't look like it's in bad shape except for the windows having been boarded up. I guess somebody was taking care of the grass at some point. You can see there's some kind of like a construction vehicle parked back there in the woods, a contractor van. So, no idea. House is not in bad shape yet. I mean, it really doesn't look bad at all, just other than, the old wood on the windows being a sign that it's been boarded up for quite a while. Hopefully somebody can get this house and fix it up before it deteriorates further or starts to look like all the other ones around here. This is Baker Street. And it is driving over here. There's even more "We Buy Houses Fast" signs all over the place in these neighborhoods. Like, I've talked to some of those people that buy houses. They would love to buy some of these houses. I guess just the owners are not responsive. Not sure what this is. This is over on Baker Street as well. See a lot of this like ramshackle construction around some of these houses. I don't know what that is, if that's safe or built to code. It certainly doesn't appear to be. Like people start building houses behind the houses sometimes. This appears to be another one of those abandoned houses over here on Baker Street. Like the whole side is missing siding in big pieces. Appears to be some issues going on with the lack of gutters. That's just an absolute mess there. So not in as bad a condition as Alpine or Mosby or any of the other really bad abandoned houses. It's probably why they weren't on the radar, I guess, of the people who were posting pictures and comments and whatnot. But man, just give it a couple good winters and these houses are going to be just as bad as all the others. Doesn't look like anyone's parked in that driveway in quite a while. I don't know what all this junk grills and picnic tables and stuff in the front yard. Piles of tires. Some kind of, what in the world? Another little house behind the house. Here we have another one of these, what I call these trash hoarder homes. This one's on Meeker, and it's been slowly getting worse. Big piles of trash and cones and plastic lawn furniture, desks, So they filled up half the yard. Still have half the yard free. It looks like there's a ton of stuff in the back. So this just shouldn't be like this, you know, just throw it away. I just don't understand. And you know, the sad thing is right down the street here, there's somebody trying to sell their house. So how do you think prospective buyers think when they drive into the neighborhood and they see piles of trash in everybody's yard, in yards like this? It's just not good for the community and should be cleaned up. There should be code enforcement on this. It's now the middle of March 2021. The city still hasn't done anything about the abandoned house on Mosby. They keep talking about it. Hopefully we'll have some progress here soon. Just wanted to record another quick clip. This wall is steadily coming down here. I was able to hold my camera up over the top of this and take quite a few photos of the inside. You can see all of the beams supporting the second floor up there have buckled, and it looks like there was a shitload of boxes piled up, boxes full of, they tell me it's like more of these millions of old VHS tapes. They're spilling out everywhere. You can see even up there on the second floor, just piles of boxes. Looking at it through the front wall, you can see how the wall is separated. Looks like photos and stuff. Roof is really barely holding on. We keep talking about it. Surprised it hasn't come down entirely already. You can see looking at the house from the back as well that the roof has started to collapse back here. So the back is now collapsing as well. This is just an abomination here. What an embarrassment. This is an embarrassment to the city. And a tragedy to the people who have to live around this house. I'm sure this is just doing wonders for their health and their property values.